This is Brains for the Cure. Hopefully you guys have, especially you staff members, have taken a look at it. But this, as I mentioned, was launched in 2017. And since then, we've done a couple different kind of relaunches and revamps to try and improve the resource. Most recently, last year, we really built out our caregiver side of the website. We saw that, a lot of times it's caregivers that are doing the research and looking for these resources, and the way we kind of had the site formatted was really geared towards patients. And so we wanted to make it accessible to both the patients and the caregivers. So I'm going to do a walkthrough right now as if I am a patient. So we try to make it easy to navigate. Hopefully my internet's not too slow as we do this. Novacure was our sponsor for kind of creating this patient side of the navigator. But most pages you'll find videos at the top. We have probably over around 300 videos from different patients and caregivers and doctors as well, just sharing their perspectives, their experiences, their advice, their knowledge, whatever it may be. We try to cover as many topics as we can. So right here is Hillary. She's a survivor and is kind of talking about her initial diagnosis, and then it was kind of what do we do now, and that's really what this site is meant to serve as. Is okay, someone's been diagnosed, now what, kind of a thing. So as you scroll through this page, we have different stories that are relatable to patients. We had Ependymoma Awareness Day recently and wanted to let people know about that. Managing Care After Active Treatment was an article written by one of our ambassadors, Anna. She's also from the North Texas event. And she talked about, even though she was diagnosed 5 years ago, she's still managing some different side effects and, how she goes about that. So we update these articles pretty frequently, and a lot of them are firsthand perspectives from some of our ambassadors. But then as you scroll down, there's different topics that we cover. So I'll dive into this one a bit later, but you are not alone. So these are to see stories from other people, as I mentioned before. And then we have who can I talk to? So we recently launched our patient perspectives. They are our online support groups. They meet via Zoom once a month. They're the first Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. Central Time. Any brain tumor patient or survivor is welcome to attend those calls. They're really an open forum for individuals to ask questions, share advice, and just really try and find others that they can connect with. We do welcome caregivers to attend for patients that may need assistance with Zoom or with asking a question or something like that. But we have those calls. We really want to try and hear from the patients primarily. As well, we have a private Facebook group. So for those that are on Facebook can connect, anytime and post questions, or if they, maybe see something exciting in the news about a new clinical trial or something like that, they can share it with others. And again, it's another connection opportunity. And then as well, meeting our ambassadors, which I'll dive in to that one more as well, just a little bit after we keep scrolling. Continuing down, we have where do I get started? So kind of trying to understand the basics of a diagnosis. So, anatomy, different symptoms, treatment options, things like that. How can I advocate for myself? This is providing questions that patients might want to ask their doctors or a surgeon before beginning treatment and even before surgery, trying to decide what the best course of action will be for them. Potentially, seeking a second opinion, or, finding a doctor initially if, someone's wanting to go to, a specific brain tumor center rather than kind of a general hospital. We also have a resource guide that has a lot of different questions in it and some notes as well. Additionally, a place to list all of their medical team and their information. We tried to kind of combine everything we thought, one patient might need into a booklet. So then they're able to take that to each appointment with them, or a caregiver, can bring that along. It's especially helpful if an individual has multiple caregivers, so then they can kind of write everything down in one place and then kind of pass it along depending on who might be going to appointments with them. Continuing down, treatments and trials. So again, some more information about the different treatment options that are available, as well as trying to find clinical trials and getting more information about what exactly a clinical trial entails, different requirements and things like that. Finding help and resources is definitely a big one. We want to try and connect people in the community to other patients and survivors, as well as resources for potentially for financial aid, if they need rides to appointments, other support groups, just any resources that we can try and provide. Some of these are resources from partner organizations or partner hospitals that we work with. So we list those out kind of in a geographical way to find something near you. So we don't have every resource in the world listed, but we try to find as many as we can, and then continue to add them as we discover new ones, or if someone lets us know of a resource that we might be missing. And then continuing down, making difficult decisions. This kind of involves, when a patient's starting treatment, there's some, long-term effects that they may have to look at for possibly fertility, or just long-term care with potentially having, physical therapy or things like that, as well as having, difficult conversations with loved ones of what their, care plan might be, involving potentially hospice care, and then also trying to determine your legacy, and then caring for yourself. So keeping good physical health and wellness, potentially changing your diet, or trying to maybe work out more, things like that. Also mental and emotional support, so seeking therapy if that's something they're interested in, and then palliative care as well. So I'm going to scroll back up a little bit here and get into our ambassadors. So we have a few different ambassadors listed here. Anna, who I actually mentioned before, is one, but you can click on her story, kind of read through her experience, as well as others that we have listed here. But then patients can message these individuals directly. So if they're not wanting to be kind of in a group setting, or they just prefer to talk, via email or phone calls or something like that, they can read through our ambassadors' stories and see if maybe there's someone that they connect with based on, tumor type or age or location, or, whatever it may be. And then they can connect with those people one-on-one. Going back just a little bit here to patients. Apologies that my internet's a bit slow. As I mentioned, there's the "You Are Not Alone" section. So patients can click this drop-down menu and kind of choose where they are exactly in their brain tumor journey. And we know that sometimes these terms can, or multiple of these terms can apply to one person. But for example, I'll go to inactive treatment and click Find Stories. And then this will load a page that specifically talks about someone who's in active treatment. So this is Brooke talking about her surgery and treatment for when she was diagnosed. So that's kind of a quick walkthrough of the patient side of things. And then if we jump over to caregivers, you're going to see a very similar format. A big thank you to GT Medical Technologies. They were a big supporter and sponsor of making kind of this breakout section happen. But again, similar with videos at the top, different stories. Courtney, who Steve, you probably recognize Courtney Benish's name, getting to talk to her a lot, but she's also she's not only, she's a staff member, but she's also one of our ambassadors. She recently wrote an article about some book recommendations that were helpful to her after her mom's passing. But then as you scroll down, it's a very similar format to the patient. So again, who can I talk to? We as well have support groups for caregivers. We call those caregiver conversations. They also are once a month, but they are the last Thursday of the month, again at 6 p.m. and on Zoom. For both the caregiver conversations and the patient perspectives, we do ask that individuals register for those so that we can send them the Zoom link directly. Just with those conversations, sometimes being a little more sensitive and a little more personal, we try to keep that link private. So we do ask that individuals sign up and we send that link to them directly rather than publicizing it online. But again, we have a social media Facebook group for them as well. And then the same kind of blocks that we saw on the patient side, but kind of geared towards what a caregiver might be looking for, especially down here at the bottom with the caring for yourself. We want caregivers to care for themselves as well as they're, doing the incredible work of caring for their loved one. So we just have some different resources and information for those caregivers. And then similarly, we also have our caregiver ambassadors. So as I mentioned, Courtney, you can read a bit about her story, but then we have some other ambassadors as well. And again, you can message those individuals directly through this page. And then if we go back here, we kind of broke this video section apart based on the relationship between a caregiver and their loved one. So if you're caring for a spouse, a child as they're considered pediatric, a child if they're considered an adult case, caring for a parent, caring for a sibling or someone else, and then also a secondary caregiver. So if there's kind of multiple levels of caregiving within a family or group. So for example, let's go with caring for my parent, and we'll click find stories. And we'll see lovely Courtney again. I'm embarrassing her and she's not even on this call, so she can look at this later. But so you'll see different videos from her. And again, some different resources below. We also have, as I mentioned, over 300 videos and still building. So if you're just wanting to look at lots of different stories from individuals, all of our videos are listed here, and they're kind of broken apart based on survivors, doctors, information about treatment options and clinical trials, kind of everyday life types of things, and then caregivers as well. So as you scroll down, you can see those different videos and the different kind of categories that they're in. You can also see all of these on our YouTube channel. Additionally, as I mentioned before, we have some resources for finding a second opinion or looking for a doctor. I'm based in Kansas City, so it says that I'm there, but if you zoom out, we have a lot of different partner hospitals that we work with through our 5Ks as our local beneficiaries, but then also through the Brain Tumor Trials Collaborative, which is our national beneficiary. We're actually in the process of revamping this page and making it a little bit easier to navigate, but all the information is still there for those that might be looking for either an initial treatment team or wanting to seek a second opinion or maybe look at specific clinical trials at a hospital. And then we also here have a lot more resources kind of broken apart into kind of what types of resources. So support groups, this includes our support group information, but also includes local support groups, again, with our different partners. A lot of these went virtual with the pandemic and everything, but hopefully we'll go back to being in person. And I know there's a lot of individuals that, like to have that in-person interaction. So our support groups, of course, will still continue. It's a great way to connect people from all across the country if there's not a support group near you, or if you're just wanting to attend more than one. But then we also have treatment information as well, some financial resources. If you're interested in looking at some research publications with new clinical trials or new research, local resources, these are kind of what I mentioned before a little bit of, again, with different partners that we have, if they have specific resources at those hospitals available, and then health and wellness. So this is kind of mental health types of things, as well as nutrition and physical health. And then one last thing I want to show on this site before I stop talking and open it to questions, is that we recently launched a podcast. So the Game on Glio podcast officially has one episode with Dr. John Bookvar from Lenox Hill in New York. But we started this podcast with a woman named Shannon Traphagen. She was the caregiver for her husband during his battle with GBM. And he passed away last year, and she was really looking for an outlet to help others. She's a writer and a public speaker. And so a podcast seems like a great way to be able to reach a lot of different people and share real conversations about brain cancer. And so these episodes will feature a variety of people. As I mentioned, the first episode is Dr. John Bookvar. If you have not seen his the series called Lenox Hill on Netflix, I will say it's a hard series to watch, but it's a really great series to watch at the same time. But he had a really great conversation with Shannon, and then our next episode will be coming out at the end of the month on the 27th, so Thursday. Is that next Thursday? I think that's next Thursday. And that will come out with DJ Stewart. He is 30 years old and is a 2-year survivor of GBM. He's actually from the KC area. He is an avid skateboarder. He's currently doing a trick of the day for Go Gray in May. But he's a really great guy. He is an Optune user, but he just has such a great attitude about his journey. So I've gotten a little sneak peek of the episode, but I'm really excited to hear the full thing. And we have lots of other guests lined up, other neuro-oncologists, other neurosurgeons, survivors, caregivers, lots of different people just to share their journey and hopefully help others on their own. So that was a lot of information. I think I talked very fast. I'm really not sure, but want to open it up to questions, or if you want to see something specific on the site. I'm going to stop sharing for now just so that I can see your faces again. But just wanted to see if there's any remarks or questions.
It's interesting. I get the emails. I've seen emails come in. I'm going to be honest with you. By the time I'm doing personal email, it's at the end of the day, and it's not always addressed probably the proper way, and I probably don't read them like I should, but it's obvious from what you just showed me there that had I known about that, if that's been in since 2017, Adam was diagnosed and surgery was 2019, that would have been a perfect place. And that's the place that Mom and I, my wife and I, will go to just to kind of look into some of the things that there's a ton of information from what I can see. Now, getting my 30-year-old to go on that site and look at stuff as a patient, yeah, the old man will push him, but I just don't know how effective it'll be. But obviously there's a lot of information there that I think could be useful just for me and my knowledge and my wife's knowledge. And once we have it, then we can back him into the corner via different conversations and kind of help steer him if we think we need to look at it. But Head for the Cure, I stumbled on it. I mean, quite honestly, I found out about it because of Adam was in a hospital in February down at UT Southwestern of 2019. And Dad, I worked out of the hospital pretty much graciously. My boss let me work, while we were there about 3 weeks straight. I used to wander the halls quite a bit. And there were flyers all over UT Southwestern about the upcoming race. And so I saw it enough that I ran by myself in 2019, and then we started a team last year and this year. And there's all sorts of things going through your mind when you're walking those halls while you're waiting to hear the doctor's next prognosis or the PT to come in and tell you how he's progressing and just the different stages of it that That's a godsend. I'm sorry I didn't read the emails a little bit better now, because the pictures obviously are doing quite a bit for me. So thank you for taking the time to walk through it, because there's just a number of things in there I think that'll be very beneficial. I personally appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you very much for saying all that. That means a lot. And this is why we put it together, is to help people. And so with your registrations and donations, Steve, with you doing North Texas, that benefits UT Southwestern, but then it also does help benefit Brains for the Cure as well. So it's thanks to people like you who are registering and donating that we can have this resource available for individuals. So thank you very much for saying all that.
Oh, you're lucky. Somebody hit the coin return quarter kick back out. I'd still be going otherwise.
Wonderful.
Well, one last parting thought again. Thank you to everybody. I mean, because all of these calls are very informative. I haven't put in practice a lot of the ideas that I've gotten as far as fundraising, but it's things that, like with my son is a police officer in McKinney, and so mom and I and his wife are part of the auxiliary as well, and they do fundraising things. Go to Applebee's and tell them you're with the McKinney Police Association, you get 10%, or Wild Wings or whatever it is. Fortunately, there were a couple of local establishments. There's a local brewery down here that ran a fundraiser on Adam's behalf when he was first diagnosed, to help, again, because of the police association, to help cover some medical costs and stuff like that. And it just makes sense. And so it's good to hear a lot of these other teams throughout the country and the ideas they have, because you go, yeah, that's not that hard. That's, something you should easily do. So I just appreciate everybody that shares all that information. It is very good. I appreciate it as a team captain. So thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Steve, I was curious, you mentioned that, maybe skimming through the emails might not give you, all of the information about brains. Do you have any recommendations on, how you think we could get the word out about brains? Because there is a lot of really good information, and it's a really good resource, and we want people to be able to see it and to be able to go to it. But it's really just, how do we make people aware that it's there?
Part of my comment is just email fatigue. Just, you got 100 in email all day work, you have 100 at home when you get home. And I guess I haven't, and I don't know how to make this better, but I still probably, when I see it, associate it with Head for the Cure. And so then if it's not something that pops right out saying this is Brains for the Cure, do you want this kind of information? I probably glance through it, and certainly I hate to admit, but before race, I'm looking at, we're pumping up the race, and there's different things, and you just go skimming through them. What stuck out to me is, well, and I don't know how you address, I don't know how you get a list of parents or caregivers, and you somehow blast the top of it out to draw attention for that segment. And do you can go here? Maybe an email blast. Well, I don't know how many of you have AT&T, but when you make a plan switch at AT&T, you get a nice little video bill. So they tell you how they're going to take more money from you, right? And they walk through and they explain part of the bill. Maybe you could do something with this. Maybe, like that, just a splash of the first page and a tab, and maybe a couple of things of what it does. I don't know, but I blame it probably primarily on email fatigue. But
yeah, we completely understand that. What if the doctors talk to you about it? Because I know you said you spent a lot of time in hospitals. I know we try to, I feel like that could be a good resource too. And that's how, you found out about the 5K. So maybe we have them talk about the Brains for the Cure as well.
I think that would be a really good idea. Again, because on some of them, you had there were a couple, Dr. Patel, again, speaking strictly North Texas, that was Adam Surgeon. So obviously I saw her face and I saw that there was a little presentation. I popped on that, and there were a couple others throughout. I had a tendency to stop and look at that a little bit more when there was something in a short video blurb or something to do, because I won't speak for Mario, but I'm a man, in a picture and something short and sweet kind of catches my attention, keeps it long enough to get the point across. But that would probably be a very good idea.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Well, I think that's it for us this evening. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for everything you're doing, Steve. Yes, Mario.
Question.
Yes.
Steve, I know you're not a Facebook guy, but are you a Twitter guy or Instagram?
I'm a Twitter guy because I could win things at the Stars games. But yeah, I'm a Twitter guy.
Okay.
That's truly about it, Mario, as far as the social media.
So, do you follow us on Twitter?
Oh, now you're gonna call me out. Oh, Mario. Good job, man. Good job.
Well, look, we're not that active on Twitter anyhow. We're just wondering. I'm taking a poll. Is that correct? I'm sorry, Laura. We're not active on Twitter, are we?
Head for the Cure is more active than Brains for the Cure is on Twitter.
Okay.
I would say that Head for the Cure is more active, but both of them, I'd say, are relative. Well, they're getting there better. We focus a little bit more on Facebook, and then we've kind of seen some more results from Instagram, but we still try to post fairly frequently on Twitter. Steve's gonna go follow us right now.
Yeah. If I'm gonna get called out, I might as well answer the call, right?
Steve, but I'm with you. I mean, I don't know if it's. We both have gray hair. I don't know if you're. I don't know if I'm as old as you are, but.
I can tell in your heart you're not.
Yeah, but we do. We like it. I mean, the patient's spans gets shorter by the minute, and we like messages short and sweet. I keep on, Laura knows that I keep on saying all the time, let's text, do videos, and not long videos. You don't need a 3-minute video. If you cannot say it in a minute, then, it's the wrong message. What is it? Young people, and I call young people, the millennials. What is their spans on how many seconds is it? 7, 8, 10?
I think it's like 7. I think on average, a social media post is stared at for 7 seconds.
7 seconds. That would be perfect, right?
I was talking today. I'm like, I get my news from Twitter, so it's 140 characters or less.
Yeah. No, that's the way it is.
Well, that's the way we become. It's looking for that instant pop and get your attention and move on, right? But yes, I do follow Head for the Cure on Twitter.
Woohoo! Now you have to do Brains for the Cure also.
Got it.
Mario called you out on one. I'll call you out on the other.
Yeah.
Good enough. Yeah.
Plus, then now you'll see information about Chicago once it's announced too. So you won't be able to miss that.
And I put down a reminder to email you it as well, Steve. So I'll send you the team captain announcement also.
Thank you. Yeah. I actually have one of sister-in-law is a nurse up there, and she had reached out earlier to get some information because she knew Dr. Mayer and the care that Adam had gotten for a friend up there. So I will certainly be sharing the Brains for the Cure site with her to pass on to her friend that's going through some things up there now. So,
Please do, yeah.
and so I'll use Janet to help pressure the rest of the family to come walk wherever it is in Chicago. So we'll get there. Thank you.
Yeah, and lastly, Steve, I think there's a community on Facebook about law enforcement that has been affected by brain cancer. You might look into that. I mean, there's a brotherhood. I don't know the exact details, but you might look into that.
I will certainly. I'll talk to my daughter and have her find it. But you know, the son and daughter-in-law are into that. You know, on the Facebook as well. So I certainly will get that information. Thank you, Mario.
Yeah.
That's something he may actually take some time to go out and look at. So
Right.
appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for being here, and have a great rest of your Wednesday and rest of the week.
You too.
All right. Night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Everyone, bye.
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 Bye-bye.